Hi, this is Vincent, and welcome to Right Away, a vlog about traffic, transport, and road safety. In today's episode, we'll continue our discussion about signs. No, we're not going to talk about color combinations or size or placement. We're going to talk about the preponderance of signs. When it comes to road signs, scarcity of signs is just as dangerous as an overabundance of signs. Then when you mix the overabundance of signs with all the other types of signage we see, the advertisements for fast food joints, for shampoos, for toothpaste, for the latest skin whitening products, it's quite easy to understand why the road signs would get lost in this visual clutter. And add to that, this new trend of mixing what looks like official road signs with commercial messages. Let's talk this afternoon with a transport expert about the dangers of the overabundance of signs and mixing commercial signs with official road signs. Let's talk to Dr. Regin Regidor of the National Center for Transportation Studies. According to the DPWH manual on road signs and pavement markings, one of the things there they say is, I think in section 1.3, na bawal ang commercial signs sa daan. Why is this important? Why should we avoid commercial signs?
Well, alam naman natin doon sa mga daan natin, marami ng mga ads. So you also have establishments na fairly shouting out yung products nila. You see the fast food chains, for example. They have very prominent signs. So malayo pa lang, makikita mo na kagad that there's this fast food chain coming up. No? It's basically noise. No? Much like along the lines of yung discussions before regarding LED signs, for example. No? So they tend to distract people. So that's part of it. No? Kumbaga, nakalagay doon sa manual natin, as much as possible, there are no other signs except the official or the standard signs that we use for guidance, for information, for warnings. No? According to the different classifications of road signs.
So all these signs that we see on the roads for commercial establishments and fast food joints and shopping malls, those are actually prohibited in essence by the
Yes.
manual.
So if we follow the manual, most of the signs that we see are actually illegal.
And who would be responsible for removing them or calling out the attention of these commercial?
So that becomes a little more complicated because DPWH doesn't necessarily have an enforcement arm.
Right.
So they're dependent on the local government units, or in the case of Metro Manila, that would be MMDA. No? Although of course, local government units like Quezon City, like Manila, no, may power din sila to remove certain signs that probably should not be there in the first place. No? And we've seen that in the past. Diba?
We have seen MMDA do like sign clearing operations.
Yes. Even tarps, right?
Yes.
Because we regard these as distractions, we regard this as unnecessary, we regard this as noise. No? In as far as travelers' point of view is concerned.
One of the things that I tweeted is that with the proliferation of commercial signs and all types of signs on the road, it leads to what I call sign blindness.
Yeah.
That after a while, because of the volume of signs, that we become blind to the actual signs that we need to be paying attention to.
Yes, that's true. Sometimes because noise, no, we tend to filter them out.
Yeah.
No? So hindi na natin pinapansin. Especially for people who are quite familiar with the route, with the road. Maybe it's along their typical commute, no, yung regular commute nila. So kabisado na nila eh. So they really don't need signs to tell them that, oh, this is the direction towards home.
Right.
Many people these days probably are already familiar with alternate routes. And probably people who drive would be more dependent on apps like Waze. So hindi ka na tumitingin sa labas eh.
Yes.
No? Well, tumitingin ka pa rin syempre. Tumitingin ka sa labas syempre dahil yung mga landmarks, di ba? So we have different ways for us para hindi maligaw. Diba? So alam natin yung mga landmarks eh. Ay, okay, I'm past this. So maybe it's just 15 minutes more till I get home or till I get to the office or till I get to school.
But aside from like directional signage, which we would tend to ignore because we're either using apps or because we're familiar with the area, we don't need the directional signs. But sometimes we know that either the DPWH, the MMDA, or the local government sometimes change the specific routes. They'll make certain streets one way or assign lanes a particular direction that wasn't there before. And I think this is where signs are important to inform motorists of these kinds of changes. But as you say, with all the visual clutter, people tend to ignore them. So I guess that's the first problem.
Those signs have to stand out. Yeah. So, especially for people who are unfamiliar with the area, unfamiliar with a certain route, we see those signs. If you're going up to Baguio, if you're going to Tagaytay, you see a series of signs, but they're not necessarily close to each other, no, closely. So usually there's even a distance information there. No? So as you come near to a certain location, we can see that the distance, no, is decreasing. So going up to Baguio, 100 kilometers. Then later, you see 80 kilometers na lang.
It also helps the motorists know that they're on the right route.
Yes, yes.
If we're going to Baguio, alam nila they're on the right route.
And those signs are designed to stand out. So for anyone to be able to read those signs. If you have a lot of clutter, then malulunod eh. And that's why probably ayaw natin ng may mga tarp here and there, di ba? Especially during the election period, sometimes natatabunan na. And just to add to that, we see some signs sometimes, di ba, vandalized. Okay. So, ayaw din natin yun. Kasi maybe some signs are quite important. Maybe they're warning signs, diba? Of some hazard up ahead. But because it's vandalized, so blind na yung mga tao doon. So, hindi niya napansin, ay, meron palang sign na rock slide prone yung area na yun. Diba? Yung mga ganon.
And I think when people visit like other jurisdictions or other countries, they'll notice that the signs, the road signs really stand out because they are solely by themselves and they're not drowned out by commercial signage, whatever. So that's important. The other thing is that the DPWH also disallows commercial signs. And I think this is where we're sort of walking into some gray areas because a lot of signs are starting to look like standard road signs. I've made particular note of the signs here along C5 going both northbound, southbound that seem to be commercial signs for Uptown Bonifacio, which is a mall. And these signs appear very frequently. I've called out the MMDA on this. What do you think about these kinds of signs? Because the MMDA is saying, well, it provides motorists direction for other destinations, because those signs will typically have 3 destinations. It'll be Cubao or Boulevard, Uptown Bonifacio. It'll be Makati, EDSA, Uptown Bonifacio. Okay. So the Uptown Bonifacio is the consistent one, and then the other 2 are just sort of to make it seem like a commercial sign.
I think we should consider those as ads more than signs. No? These are ads pretending to be signs, and I think it's deliberate. It's deliberate because in the past, there's been a lot of criticisms for non-standard signs.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think I've been one of those.
So you have the message is correct, but the color, the size, even the font are not standard. And we are supposed to be a signatory to the Vienna Convention, which commits our country to standard signs. No? So that anyone from any part of the globe, when they come over here, then it's the same interpretation, it's the same meaning for any sign that they would see from their country and here in the Philippines. So that said, some people probably became enterprising. They already thought about that, the non-standard sign issue, and they probably thought about it and, okay, let's repackage this. Let's make it look like the real deal in terms of the signs, and then mix it up with the ad.
The problem with suffering from sign blindness, and I think many of us suffer from it, is that we run the risk of missing the important signs. Signs that could tell us of oncoming traffic, or turns that we need to make or not make. The DPWH, in its infinite wisdom, says that in its road signs and pavement markings manual, that signs should be used only when necessary and when supported by studies. The signs need to stand out to be noticed. If they are drowned out by the visual clutter of too many signs or advertisements of tarpaulin or huge billboards, then the signs will go unnoticed and unheeded. And that creates a risky situation not only for the motorists, but for all road users. I think it's time that our authorities pay attention to this particular problem. In a future episode, we'll dive deeper into the government's response to the overabundance of signs. Well, that's it. We've reached the end of another episode. If you have any ideas, suggestions, photos, or videos that you'd like to share with us, you can email them at rightofway@rappler.com or send us a message on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook at rightofwayph. Until then, this is Vincent, and I'm out of here. Stay safe on the road, guys.